Well, a settlement in a major lawsuit could fundamentally change the way homes are bought and sold in the country. The National Association of Realtors agreed to a settlement in which home buyers will no longer be expected to automatically pay their real estate agents as part of the purchase price of the home. So here to explain how this will impact you and the local real estate is Adriano Tori from RexMont Real Estate. And thank you so much for being here with us today. This is big news.
This is huge news for the industry and especially for the greater Seattle area.
Well, let's jump right into it. What does it mean, especially for the buyer and that agent?
So currently, home sellers include a commission, which is part of the home price. And that usually is about 4, 5, or 6% of the sales price. Now, that commission is split evenly between a seller's agent and a buyer's agent. Now, that led to a lawsuit because buyers or sellers said that they should not have paid a commission because they were not aware that there was a buyer's agent compensation being offered as part of their net proceeds. Now, there is a lot of discussion around the settlement, right? And the settlement that is right now being in the works basically lays out the fact that as part of how people right now are taking into account the compensation, you know, as part of the buyer's agent side, they want to just be more transparent, and the industry itself wants to be more transparent as far as how that ultimately that fee will impact, you know, a seller's option and also buyers that are working with agents out there in the market.
Okay, so I want to know, does this feel good for the buyers and then their agent that they've worked with before? Are they losing out on commissions? Can they pick up some of that cash elsewhere, or does it work both ways?
So right now there is not a defined policy, as it's still being negotiated, and there hasn't been an actual you know, fundamental discussion as far as how this is going to start working on starting in mid-July to end of July. But one thing we know for a fact is that the buyer's agent compensation can be part of the listing anymore, right? And a lot of proponents of this are saying, well, this is going to reduce prices, you know, by that 2.5 or 3%. But let's keep in mind that the actual market is moved by supply and demand. Right. And so there's going to be very little effect as far as how home prices are going to be impacted out there. In fact, you know, as a home seller is going to be incentivized by wanting to retain that extra money and potentially not even factoring that in as part of the buyer agent compensation if there were any amount like set aside for that purpose.
Okay, so I know there's some concern where buyers maybe think, well, this is, or the seller says, hey, maybe this is good for me. Buyers say it's good for me. The agent saying, oh, this commission. How you say it's going to affect maybe home prices? You think they're going to stay the same, like you say, or could that, you know, bring everything down and then it continues to affect everyone because the agent says, I want to get that good commission. The seller says, hey, it just brought the prices down even though I'm not paying you. You know, so is there waffling back and forth? This must have taken a while to get to this agreement.
100%. So back in last year, 2023, so that same number of homes that were sold last year were the same number of homes that were sold back in 1995. And so we are having an issue with inventory. So this will not have in any way, shape, or form an impact as far as, you know, how home prices are going to be influenced out there in the market. Another key factor is the interest. But let's talk about what really is at stake here. Okay. What's at stake is the fundamentals of first-time home buyers having more accessibility to be represented by an experienced agent. A second home buyer, third-time buyer is going to be just fine. They will have the resources, but first-time home buyers are likely going to be more impacted by this rule, as you know, a veteran that is out there looking for housing, most likely are going to be focusing in minimizing their upfront costs. Okay. And ultimately, you know, those first-time home buyers who are going into 100% financing or no money down program will also be affected. So those are the repercussions that we may need to take into account as, you know, buyer agents are more limited towards, you know, working with people that have more of that limited accessibility to money.
Right, and a really good agent out there is, it's kind of like, I look at it like applying for college scholarships and awards and merits and grants. There are ways around, like the first time home buyer, the veterans discount. You know, there are things and ways you can work around this. What do you suggest right now for people who are looking to buy, especially in Seattle area, King County? We've been talking about inflation and how you need to make around $110,000 just to get in as a homeowner here. That seems really high and maybe not manageable to so many people.
Yeah, Erin, so it's excessively high. And you know, as the housing cost that doesn't come into parity with the cost of living, we're going to find more challenges out there for folks who want to break into home ownership. And so the biggest advice to keep in mind in terms of approaching this process is to do as much of that due diligence and homework in interviewing agents. Let's keep in mind that now there is no standard or a non-negotiable fee of 2, 2.5%, 3%. Now, if there is an agent that likely clicks with your, with your objective of buying a home and the criterion is willing to commit that time and extra effort, then what's at stake is that the agent, in relation to bringing a service and value, will be open to work for 1, 1.5%, 2%. So there are options out there. Okay. As a consumer, this brings a lot of goodness in relation to options, but definitely, as far as having the opportunity to pursue properties, I always recommend to work with people that are familiar with communities, neighborhoods, that can guide us in the right direction and be away from buyer's remorse.
Oh, Adriano Tori, I'm so glad you're here. We could talk all day about this, and the key is communication, right? You've got to have good communication with your agent. So we're so thankful that you came in from RexMont today to explain all this to us and this decision moving forward. And I'm sure we'll be talking to you a lot more in the future.
It's always a pleasure.
All right.